Hey everybody, new podcast out with Beers and Careers. Took a little summer break, and our first guest back from the summer break is Chris Mader, a local Boston guy who shares his journey growing up as his dad's lot boy to professional baseball, a great professional baseball career, and turned those skill sets into a sales and staffing career that ended up in leadership and now eventually into executive coaching, leadership coaching, and team development. He's got his own drink named after him now. So hear about this fascinating story, and the leadership lessons and career lessons along the way are phenomenal. Pour yourself a Maderade and let us know what you think. So Chris Mader, welcome to Beers and Careers. Normally a 4 o'clock beer libation, but Java for us today.
Cheers. I mean, we wouldn't be against it, but it is the middle of a work week.
Middle of the work week, and golf trips is probably when I'm the earliest I'm cracking one these
What's
days.
better than an early morning beer with the boys on a golf trip, like 9 a.m.?
It feels like 1 in the afternoon.
You're like, this is going to be a day.
It's going to be perfect. So before we get into it, we'd always like to ask a few rapid fires to let people know. So first, Chris Mader from MTA Consultancy. We're going to talk a little bit more about your business shortly, but in true Beers and Careers spirit, what's your favorite cocktail drink?
So I don't know if I'm proud of this or not.
Yeah.
But the club I belong to, called the Bay Club Mattapoisett, the bartender figured out that I really enjoy tequila, soda, splash of ginger beer. Mm-hmm. And after 2 aside, I lock in as a PGA Tour pro basically. But they called it a Maderade.
A Maderade.
Yeah, so Maderade would be a Patron soda
good.
Splash of ginger. Oh, it's excellent. I mean, you can mix it with a little pineapple juice as well or something, but that's like the stock.
But you have your
go-to.
own drink.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I've only been a member there for a couple of years, and the fact they've already named the drink after me is pretty amazing.
I want a Maderade shirt.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah, I know. It's Gatorade, but just a little bit different.
It's awesome.
Has a little kick to it.
I love Maderade. Boston guy.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, favorite curse word?
Oh, God. I mean, motherfucker.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah, motherfucker.
I love it.
It's just applicable at all times.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Are you a quote guy?
I'm a huge quote guy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's a polarizing question I've found in doing this podcast.
Okay.
There are people who don't like them. I am a quote guy too.
Yeah.
Any quotes that come to mind that you'd want to share that you are resonating with currently or just kind of always on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear some of yours too. When I was a kid, so I was an only child, and I think a lot of kids that get picked on in junior high, et cetera, and I didn't really have brothers and sisters to protect me. I was on my own, and I had a lot of people telling me I couldn't do things in life. I was a husky kid. I was overweight. And I would tell people at 12 years old, I want to play professional baseball. And people would just make fun of me and tease me and whatever. And so I had a quote when I was younger. It said, the greatest pleasure in life is doing the things other people say you cannot do. And it's burned into my brain. I wrote it down on like a white piece of paper with a red marker. I was like 13 years old. And if you go back to my room in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, it's still up there. My parents have not changed my room. I was, as an only child, like it's like a shrine in there, right? It's like I passed away 30 years ago. It's like, but that sign still sits there. And I think it's just something that's always been like kind of that chip on a shoulder guy. Like, tell me I can't do something, I'll prove you wrong.
Yes.
So that was just something that just has influenced me for basically 40 years.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. The one that it's funny, mine in the middle school, high school days I was really small.
Yeah.
Like I think I went to freshman year at 4'11".
Okay.
And was trying to play, contact sports.
Yeah.
But it was, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
That's absolutely true.
Which is always one that I loved. And then what's funny, and I might do a little Joe Rogan pull it up, Jamie, even though it's me pulling it up. But with my job now, being so... I've never had a job where usually my job was like you could see it happening all the time. And now as an executive, you do a lot of work behind a shut door alone.
Yeah.
And I got to...
pull it up.
I got to find
Well, while
it.
you're pulling that up, I have a comment on that.
Yeah,
So my
please,
father was a
please.
baseball scout, and he was a baseball scout for 6 different organizations, including the Boston Red Sox at one point.
Okay.
And, he scouted like guys like Alex Rodriguez back in the day. He's like, Chris, this is the first guy I've ever seen that has the maximum skill set for every single tool we look for, hitting for power, running, fielding, throwing. He goes, but there's guys like Dustin Pedroia. He goes, things they don't measure in scouting is heart. And you think of like a Dustin Pedroia that a lot of Red Sox, if you're from the Boston area would know. You talk about your quote, like that's Dustin Pedroia in a nutshell. Like his heart was bigger than his skill set.
Right.
And I've always admired anybody like that. And you think about staffing businesses,
Yeah.
Grit, determination, work ethic, you can outwork the job. Like you can work so hard, you can figure out whatever other deficiencies you have. And I just think that it's just an amazing skill set as a human being to have. So that's a great quote. I love that quote.
It is. It's my favorite part about coaching youth sports. Is like, well, none of these kids are going to the show. Well, if they do, it's not because of me.
Right.
But I can teach them how to be a good teammate and have grit and heart and compete and character. So I'm with you. I found it.
Yeah. Oh, what is that?
So it's Chris Williamson, who's a podcaster and
Love
influencer. And he says, we don't rise to the standards we have when others are watching. We fall to the standards we have when no one is watching. The only work that really matters is the work that no one sees. It shows you who you really are rather than who you say you are.
Yeah, he's awesome. Williamson's great.
He's
yeah,
great.
It's so true.
It's great. And
so
it's just
true.
like, that was helping me because I kept being like, man, now I'm doing a lot of work with my door shut.
Yeah.
And it feels weird.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I also do a podcast called Make the Adjustment Podcast. Thank you. And my first guest was Dan Foley. And Dan Foley is a legend in staffing. He grew, New Boston, Sapphire, Ronstadt to, God, it was like $1 billion from 30 million when I started.
Right.
And he used to say to me, Chris, the scariest view for me is the one from my desk. And he's like, I got to get out in front of more customers. And really, I got to get it with my people.
Yes.
And, he's like, if I can't be in front of customers, I can at least spend time with my people. Because to your point, listen, you're the visionary, you're the strategist. You have to do what you have to do behind closed doors. But, and I know you well enough to know this, like you'll never lose reality. You grew up on a desk and you grew up in the field. So you know the level of importance of how important it is to stay in front of that stuff.
I listened to your podcast over the Labor Day weekend, mowing the lawn, actually. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
relaxing.
I had to stop and email myself, and the email I sent to myself was, spend half your time talking to your people and half your time talking to your customers.
That's it. That's
because
Dan Foley.
Because I could definitely feel like summer's a weird time, as you and I were just kind of talking about on the way back up. But I was like, that's a good reset going into Labor Day. Like, where do I spend my time in business? So, I know you're a book guy. Favorite book?
Oh God, favorite book.
Did you read The Alchemist yet?
So I just started The Alchemist. So that Dan turned me on to it, and that is really interesting. I'm only like 2 chapters into it right now.
It's a wild book.
Yeah. So listen, there's so many books that influence, like Good to Great, Jim Collins.
Yes.
If I think about business books that influence me, start with Why, Simon Sinek.
Yes.
Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink. Right. So there are so many books that have influenced me. But if I go way back, like Good to Great by Jim Collins, it shaped me as a leader to not accept mediocrity and to continuously improve and look for things we could do better at. And I just think, which is called a growth mindset, which I didn't know what it was called, the growth mindset 30 years ago. But I just think that the best of the best of the best. I've been around a lot of successful people in athletics and business and staffing. And I find that to be the most consistent theme is like they're always looking to get incrementally better. They're never satisfied. And it's so funny how the most successful people in life sometimes will seem miserable and pissed off. But they're not miserable and pissed off. They're just trying to keep getting better.
Relentless.
And they actually, they're beyond the top of the mountain that many people will never get to. Right. But they're still climbing.
Yes.
It's wild, right?
It is wild. And it's just an innate drive.
Right.
It's just like, and they know. I think athletics forges a lot of it.
Yeah.
Or it's one way to forge a lot of that mindset. Because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. I want to know what your first job was now. I'm talking like middle school. Like, it doesn't have to be a W-2 job. I know what your first real job was.
I can tell you the first job. My father owned a used car lot in Billerica, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And he hired me under the table, $5 an hour at lunch, to wash cars, drive cars, pull weeds, clean the lot, just like Lot Boy. It's called Lot Boy. I think that was the official title. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. I guess if my dad was here, my dad's still alive, he's 80, but like he would love to tell you the story. So me and my buddy Jay would do this. And we're out there one day, we wash like 50 cars, we go home. It's sunny, it's not windy, there's no pollen in the air, relevant to the story. We come back the next day. He's like, wash all 50 cars. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, we washed all 50 yesterday. They're like, he's like, wash them again. And I'm like, I don't think they need to be washed. Now, again, I'm 16 years old. Right. He goes, wash the fucking cars.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. So me and Jay start washing the cars. And like, we're having this conversation in the morning, like, how do you wash a clean car? Like, you can't even find the spot it's dirty, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's lunchtime. We're on the steps outside, boiling hot day in July, eating a sandwich from Lakash's in Burlington. I will never forget this. And I'm talking to Jay. I'm like, Jay, I'm starting to figure out in life, there's 2 types of people at work. There's supervisors and there's people who do the work. And man, when I grow up, man, I want to be a supervisor. This is fucking bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, I say this. My father is standing right behind me. I have no idea.
Oh.
Okay, when I said this. He takes like a newspaper, he wraps me on the back, and he goes, well, today you're at fucking work. I get back to work. I was like, fuck. I'm like, God damn it. And so it's a funny story.
That's
but like,
awesome.
yeah, but I mean, I grew up, just pulling weeds and washing cars and meeting people. And I would, when customers bought cars, I'd drive them their car. Jay and I would drive their car out.
Yep.
And we would drive back together. That was my first job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know your background. Although every time I do this, I learn more about people's background, which is fun.
Yeah.
Walk me through. You go to Rollins. Give me like the Reader's Digest, right? You go to Rollins and then obviously play some pro ball.
Yeah.
Baseball player, third baseman, right?
Catcher and third base. Yeah.
Catcher and third base.
Yep.
And then so walk me through that. How at Rollins, when did you know you wanted to give it a go?
I think I knew I wanted to. I think I knew in high school, to be honest.
Okay.
So it's
So
funny.
the pudgy kid.
Pudgy husky kid, was a catcher as a kid.
Okay.
And so I always tell people with sports, my favorite 3 sports in high school were hockey, golf, and baseball in that order.
Okay.
My skill set, though, was inverted. I was best at baseball, then golf, then hockey.
I have the same experience.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to chase baseball.
Yeah.
I got hurt. I got injured as a freshman in football. And I had to tell my friends and the athletic director, hey, guy, in Tewksbury High School, if you know Tewksbury at all, it's a big football town, big hockey town. And I had to drop football. I called Coach Ayer, MTA coach, I got to talk to you. And I go in, and he's like really disappointed because I was a decent football player.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the year I quit, they won the Super Bowl, so maybe that was. But I stopped playing football because I didn't want to get hurt for baseball. So I was pursued by scouts in high school, but I was looking. If you remember the mid '80s, I was looking at Oklahoma State, Miami, Arizona, these big schools. Every school I visited, they said, Chris, you could play here. We'll get you a scholarship, but you're not going to play till sophomore, junior year. I visited Rollins College, Division II school in Florida. They're like, you'll start as a freshman, and that's almost all I needed to hear.
Right.
So went to Rollins, Winter Park, Florida. If anybody knows it, it's been powerhouse in summer sports, whether you're a golfer, tennis player, baseball, water skiing. And, I was started as a freshman. And we went to the Division II World Series in '89. Wow. And so I just knew that was my calling. And when you think about the 5 tools of baseball, hitting for power, I was always very strong there. Was never very fast, okay arm, okay fielder. But as you find out in baseball, you can't find good hitters. It's hard to hit. So every lineup I played in, high school, college, professionally, I batted third, fourth, fifth. I always batted third, fourth, fifth, wherever I went. So interestingly, my senior at Rollins, my junior at Rollins, the New York Mets were talking to me and said, hey, we want to sign you. We're going to draft you in the top 5 rounds. We're going to pay you $20,000 as a bonus. And I'm like, my scholarship's worth $20,000.
Right.
So I'm like, if you want to pay me like $200,000, I'd consider it. And they're like, yeah, we're not paying you that. So I didn't get drafted as a junior, get drafted as a senior. Now, the thing about getting drafted as a senior at Division II school, you just keep sliding down the list because they know they can sign you. They know a team, so teams just kept waiting.
Right.
There's only 50 rounds. I got drafted in the 49th round.
Yeah.
And White Sox signed me, $500 in a bus ticket to Sarasota, Florida. I signed it instantly. Yes, I'm in, right? So here I go. And so, find my way to Sarasota, Florida, played rookie ball, and then I got assigned to South Bend, Indiana, where Terry Francona was the manager of all people.
No way.
So I'm in single A baseball, and I knew who Tito was from the big leagues, and we knew he was going to be a big deal, and got to play for him. And then interestingly, I went to Hickory the next year, made an all-star team with Jeter. So I was playing third base, and there I am with Derek Jeter at shortstop, and I'm just like, how did a kid from Tewksbury get it? This is pretty wild. Like this is
wild.
pretty cool. But again, I go back to my mindset. I just keep proving people wrong. Like I know I can, and I always had the confidence in that. So I chased it another year, made it to Double-A, played with Michael Jordan in Birmingham. Terry Francona is the manager again. Tito's great. But then I get bounced back to Single A. And so as you learn in baseball, people have said to me, Chris, you get drafted, you're a pretty good baseball player. I'm like, pretty good. I'm like, guys, in the big leagues, there's only 30 guys per team. There's only 2 third basemen per team, basically. So there's 60 third basemen in the world in the big leagues, 60 in AAA, 60 in AA. I made it to AA. So I was one of the best 180 third basemen in the world.
Right.
And so you're like, that's pretty good, but it's just hard to get all the way up because I'm staring behind a depth chart of Robin Ventura, Almeida Sainz, Pete Rose Jr., Chris Snowpeck, Greg Norton, all guys who made the big leagues.
Right.
And so I got released because they're like, Chris, we just don't need you. And they keep drafting new guys. And I'm like, I'm batting third. I'm leading every offensive category. Like, how am I getting released? And they're like, we just don't need you anymore. We have no money invested in you. I'm like, wow. So I bounced around to the Mets, the Tigers, the Indians, won a Carolina League in the Carolina League in Kinston with Enrique Wilson, Bartolo Colon, Enar Diaz, Richie Sexton, a bunch of big league guys. We were stacked. And I decided as the pig pal on the mound was happening, I'm like, I can get bounced around in the minors the rest of my life. I'm probably not going to make it to the big leagues. I'm like, and I remember celebrating the clubhouse. I walked out in the field, and there's still kind of like smoke from the fireworks. The lights are on. The stadium's empty. I just started crying. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be my last memory playing baseball, like winning. Like I don't want to be in a car driving 20 hours from Port St. Lucie, Florida, home getting released. Like I want my last memory to be that.
Right.
And once I made that decision, it's so weird because from the age of 8 to 25, that's what I wanted to do.
That's all you wanted to do.
And all of a sudden you wake up, you're like, okay, next. I don't even know what the next chapter is, but I'm done with this.
Where did you get the self-awareness? I mean, I know you from playing some golf and stuff together and personally, but you're a gritty guy. And so like when you told me the quote of like prove people wrong, that resonated. Yeah. And obviously like hearing you break down when you realize you got to make the decision to not do it is like obviously you come to terms with like, all right, like this is not an area where it's worth my time to try to continue to prove people wrong.
Right.
Where did that self-awareness come from? Like, was it fear of like not ending on a high note?
It's a great question. I think there's 3 things that went into that decision. Number one, I have a math degree.
Okay.
I started to do the math on, am I going to make it? And it was like less than 1% chance for me to make it even for one day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's not good. The second thing was every general manager who, I talked to Steve Phillips, John Hart, these guys, if you go back in the 90s and look them up, they would pull me into an office and say, Chris, you're an amazing baseball player, great clubhouse guy, great leader, but like you don't have these other tools. And so unless you have like an advocate that's pushing you in through the organization, you're just a commodity,
right?
You know? And the third thing was I was turned 26 years old and I have a degree from Rollins College and I'm making no money. Like I was making $850 a month gross playing baseball.
Right.
I'd bartend in the off season, I worked at Circuit City. I'll date myself, right? They're bankrupt now. And I'm just like, man, I'm about to get married. I'm about to start a family. I got to make, like, it's probably the smart thing to do, even though it's very difficult. Because even to this day, as I sit here and talk to you, part of me still believes, I'm like, I could have made it. I mean, I was as good as Kevin Millar or a lot of these like, backups, if you will. I don't claim to be, I was going to be some all-star in the big leagues.
Right.
But I could hit big league pitching. I could play with those guys. I played split squad games. I mean, there's one day in Sarasota. Imagine me, right? Second year of professional baseball. I'm playing third base in a split squad game. Jack McDowell's in the mound, big leaguer, Cy Young winner. Karkovice behind the plate. Frank Thomas at first. Guillen's at short. In the outfield is Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson.
Whoa.
And I'm standing at third base. And I'll never forget, like, the first, like, a ground out to Guillen. You know, you turn around the outfield. Hey, one out. And I turn around, and there's Michael Jordan at left and Bo Jackson in center. And I'm just like... So again, like
that's surreal.
The paradox is like you believe you should be there until the moment of like, holy fucking shit, like that's fucking Bo Jackson or Michael Jordan, like what the fuck, like it's crazy,
right?
You know, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that I mean, and I think what's cool about it is that like I can answer this question for you. You would never trade that experience again. No,
the best 4 years of my life.
Right,
amazing.
Right, and I'm sure Rollins too.
Oh, Rollins was incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, in the group of, I mean, Coach Coffey is a legend. We'll talk about my book and stuff, where that came from.
So that's the coach it came from, was Rollins.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was that or Tewksbury.
No, the origin story of my book, Make the Adjustment, and my tagline isn't me. It was Boyd Coffey, and it was even Joe Justice before him. So when I went to Rollins, Boyd had a giant wooden sign behind his desk in his office. Boyd was a good old boy from the South, Athens, Tennessee, Army Infantry, played in the big leagues for the Yankees. Rollins, legend in baseball, basketball, and just respected man. And he had this wooden sign over his desk, and it said, "Son, make the adjustment." I'm like, "Coach, what's that sign all about?" He's like, "Come to school here, you find out." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And so what I found out was, the first story of Make the Adjustment for me is I'm a cocky kid from Massachusetts, freshman catcher, trying to earn my spot. And I went out to the mound to talk to one of our senior pitchers, and he goes, "Go back to the plate, pup, and I'll just catch the ball." And I'm like, oh, I fucking pissed him off. What did I say to him? And so I go to coach later. I'm like, hey, coach, like, I went out to the mound, talked to the pitcher about this, his arm angle. He's like, Chriser, you haven't earned their respect yet. You got to make the adjustment how you talk to the seniors. I was like, okay. And you just start to figure out, like, and as I started to talk to coach, make the adjustment for him as a phrase was, if something isn't going well, you have to look in the mirror and make the adjustment.
Right.
You can't change the other side. You can't make excuses on what the other side feels or doesn't. Like, you can only adjust your communication style, your effort, your whatever.
Right.
And for the guys that went to Rollins and played baseball there, if you ask any single person who went to Rollins College and played for Boyd, said, hey, what's Boyd's famous tagline? I mean, in unison, they're going to say, make the adjustment.
Right.
And the irony of that is, if you look at the 300 plus guys who went to Rollins, they've all gone on to do really well in life, like really well. And you're just like, how do more people not know this?
Yes.
Or so when I started my company, doing executive coaching, leadership training, sales training, like a lot of the messaging is like, guys, like I'll give you skills training, behavior. We'll talk about all these cool things, but ultimately you have to decide.
Right.
You have to look in the mirror with humility and say, okay, I'm the problem.
Right.
I have to fix something. And I just think that that's really hard for people because, in our business, you have to have a level of confidence, cachet, and ego to carry yourself.
Yeah.
And to be humble enough and vulnerable to say, okay, I have to change. This is what I help people with, whether it's leaders, sales, because like it's a journey of a couple of steps back to go 5 forward, right? And some people aren't willing to go on the ride because like, look, I've gotten successful doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm not disputing that. I think one of the taglines, Marshall Goldsmith is an expert in emotional intelligence. He said, how to make successful people even more successful. So it's not like I'm trying to break you or make you a different person. It's like, how do you become a better version of yourself?
Right.
Because we're all humans, we're all flawed, we all have issues, right? So.
And sometimes you make that adjustment, it doesn't work, and you got to continually adjust.
Adjust.
That is humbling.
It's exactly. You try something, it doesn't work.
Right.
You're like, okay, now my propensity is I'm not going to try it.
Right.
I tried once.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a difficult thing.
Crazy.
So take me through then. You leave Pro Ball.
Yeah.
You end up at New Boston Systems, which becomes Sapphire, and that's a story I know well. But like, how did you go from that journey to MTA?
So I was at
Because you had
New
some
Boston,
stops along the
Sapphire,
way.
Randstad for 20 years.
Yes.
And I'll say this, for those 17 of the 20 years, and by the way, I loved Randstad. People, when I left, people were like, did you not like Randstad? I'm like, no, I love Randstad. The new CEO they promoted from Canada was, I think, a sociopath. But 17 years, an amazing ride. And I learned so much, even from the sociopath. But life's too short to work for just someone who doesn't get it. And
Right.
I was fighting an uphill battle. And my father, who has always been a mentor for me, he's like, Chris, you can't fight City Hall. Like, you're going to lose. If you want to fight with your boss, you're going to lose. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, Dad, you're right. So I chose to leave, went to Medicus Healthcare Solutions, locum tenens staffing, and they were at 175 million. I was part of a team that helped them get to about 300 million. I recruited Bob Dickey, my old buddy at Randstad. Bob became the president and CEO. They're doing like 400 plus. They're cranking. And Bob's an amazing leader. I could talk about Bob Dickey all day and his influence on me. But so I did that successfully. After that tenure, I found a home at Optimum Healthcare Solutions. They were looking for an interim CEO, CRO, healthcare IT company. So I stepped into that role for a year, helped them get to kind of an event, and then got an equity check. And then to your point, I had a check, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I always deep down wanted to be a coach. I always thought about Boyd Coffee. I always thought about, honestly, I want to be a college baseball coach like Boyd, but it doesn't pay as well as executive coaching. So I'm like, I have $78,000 of cash that will last me probably 6 months of just paying my bills. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start my company. And if it doesn't work, I can always go back into staffing, run a company, whatever. And I always enjoy doing that. But being an entrepreneur, not having a boss or even a board, even more so over your shoulder every day, was liberating. And, it's been working out. So yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not making, the $500,000 in equity checks and things I used to make, but I'm very happy with my balance. I love what I do. And I'm still very integrated in the staffing community. I mean, 2/3 of my clients are in staffing, a third probably aren't, but I just love coaching. I mean, I'm a leadership junkie. I'm a sales junkie. And I like helping people apply all the lessons I've learned through the years and honestly observed others through the years. I mean, working at Randstad, Medicus, Optum, like I've been around the best of the best in sales, recruiting, leadership, and I've observed and I've taken notes and I try to apply all their best practices into the situation that I'm in.
Very cool. And MTA today you got 4 main buckets. You want to share those with people?
Sure, yeah. So lead with executive coaching. So someone like yourself, CEO, president, weekly one-on-one coaching to help execute strategy, behavior change, skills change with an executive. Thing I love to do is, the second thing is leadership training. So take a leadership team that has either never been trained or you're about to promote a bunch of people, call them emerging leaders, into leadership. That's like my favorite thing to do, 6, 10, 12, 18 leaders at a time, and take them through like a 6 or 9 month training experience of what it's like to be a great leader and manager. The third thing is I grew up in staffing and recruiting, so I can do sales and recruiting training, which is a ton of fun. And as much as technology tools and AI and everything's influencing our industry, we have a mutual friend, Casey Jaycox, and you'd agree with this. The one thing that hasn't changed our industry in the 30 years I've been doing is relationships. And so how do I deal with people? How do I manage conflict and all these things? So I do that. And then the last thing is EOS implementation. So I'm an EOS implementer. I have about 6 or 7 engagements going right now.
Very cool. Yeah, to your point on the state of our industry and technology, I think tech, I was thinking about it a lot this weekend on the mower. That's right.
Yeah, the mower. Yeah, great. Either shower or the mower is great thinking. Yeah, right.
The more tech in our business, because we're going through like vetting all the ways we use AI today, but I mean, there's some pretty awesome stuff happening. Yeah. The more you implement technology, the more the human part of the job is more important. It's so ironic, and to the point where like I actually think that the one change I think that's happening is when I started in the business, there were people that had lower EQ, but they were still successful because they could outwork the business and their deficiencies. Right. I think that's a bigger challenge today than it was before because you can't hide right now in that situation. And I see that kind of changing down the road where it's like you probably won't be able to just be the guy that dials 1,000 times a week and you'll be okay because AI is going to do that better, faster, smarter. And once they get in touch with a human, they're going to want a human.
Correct.
So that's where I kind of see the state of our industry going, which is interesting. That's why we're trying to adapt our organization currently.
Yeah, the most interesting use case I've seen in staffing so far with one of my clients was I helped them vet a number of AI call coaching software vendors. And so I helped one client implement this call coaching software. And what's interesting was you take the human element of, okay, here's our mission and vision. Here are the sales methodologies we go by. Here are the talk tracks we want to hear on a call, whether it's a cold call, second call, client visit, all these things. And you give that to the AI company, they implement the technology, and then they're recording, as you know, every call. And within 5 minutes, the salesperson, the manager see a report of, okay, Chris just got off the phone, score was 71%.
Yes.
He nailed this, he missed this, and he really missed this.
Yes.
And so again, with humility, as a sales professional, that's great feedback. Like that's instant feedback of like, okay, that call just happened 5 minutes ago, and here's what you can get better at. And I remember back in the day, you and I, when we had managers over our shoulder,
right?
We had managers plugging in the headset to our phone, whispering in our ear. By the way, one of the hardest things to do, right? The whisper mode
was terrible.
You got client talking in one ear, you got your boss in the other ear. You're trying to think about what you're going to say. You know, it's like, what is happening?
And it was hard as a new manager because you wanted to whisper all the time to help your guy or gal when they had someone on the hook, and then you had to learn that like, nope, I got to let this plane crash.
Yes.
And then we're going to debrief.
You'll learn more from that.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, depending on like how important that call was. Right. If it's a cold call, let it crash. If it's a mid call, maybe I'll jump in.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, to your point. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting. But yeah, the way AI is accelerating our business is interesting. But again, the foundational element is it's people doing business with people.
It's so funny because when 5 years ago when AI was becoming more part of our vernacular in the business world, our owner was always like, people told me we were going to go out of business when Monster came around. He's like, it's the same thing. He's like, all it does is hone in what matters about the job. And
well, think about every technology innovation that came, or disruption, you should say, in the staffing industry. I go back to '99, MSPs and VMSs coming in. So that's a disruptor. Then you have the internet and things like that, which we didn't have computers on our desk back in '96. So you have that. Then you have things like AI. I mean, there's all kinds of these, Monster, Career Builder, all these. But at the end of the day, to your point earlier, they're tools that can be used to help accelerate business if implemented correctly.
Correct.
But as an executive coach, I tell leaders all the time, like, simplify, don't complexify. You have to have, so one of the core tenets I have is people, process, technology. You do not implement technology until you have the right people and process in place. Because the technology is just going to accelerate or exacerbate those other two issues.
The issues, yeah.
So if you have great people, you have great process, then think about stacking in technology.
Right.
If you think technology is going to solve the first two, it is just going to make things more complicated.
Correct. Yeah, and maybe make it worse on the outside.
Probably.
Right, like to clean up down the road.
Yeah.
So when you're now in this role, doing those, between executive coaching and leadership coaching, like how are things changing? Like because your business has been now 3 years?
Yeah, a third year in business. Yeah.
So you got it after COVID.
Yep.
So it's been an interesting time. Like, have you noticed leadership challenges today when you're meeting with people are different than the ones maybe you experienced running your own businesses?
To your point about technology, I feel like the more technology in our industry, it accelerates. You think it accelerates growth. What's interesting to me, I think it's actually sometimes it makes things more complicated for the leader. I actually think that we have to simplify things and get back to the basics and fundamentals, and not just be bringing in all these ideas. Like Randstad, working for Randstad was really great for me because I went to Amsterdam one time. They had a big mural on the wall that said, 5% strategy, 95% execution.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening is with social media, with technology innovation, these leaders get these ideas. I have one client, I'm not going to name them. I ran their leadership meeting recently, and they're like, they have 20 ideas. I'm like, guys, pick the first 3. You can't implement 20 ideas this quarter. You can't.
Right.
And by the way, you're going to come up with 20 more next week. Stop. Like, you have to actually execute the first 3 big ideas, and then the next 3, and then the next 3, and that's kind of a good to great principle around.
Yes.
So, when I work with these leaders, I'm like, guys, you're trying too many things. Like, what are you the best in the world at? Lean into it, right? So for MTA Consultancy, listen, I work with companies in construction, manufacturing, staffing, addiction treatment, healthcare. Like, I'm in multiple sectors, but I'll say this, my sweet spot, my ICP, ideal client profile, are staffing companies $20 to $50 million because they have enough money to afford me, but they do not have a learning development department. So they want to invest in their people.
Correct.
But they just don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And because I've been in staffing so long, and I ran a startup branch, and I worked at a company doing $1 billion, like, I've seen 0 revenue, 3 million, 10 million, 30 million, 100, 300, 500. I mean, I've seen every level. So I can step into these situations and really help these clients at 20 to 50. Like, hey, how do you get to 100? Like, guys, I got the playbook. Like, just follow along, right? So, so I know my ideal, and I lean into that with my podcast and my content, and I just lean into that because that's the clients. Those are the clients I'm trying to attract.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But do you aside from, do you feel like now you're running in, and you gave that example of like a client having too many things they were trying to accomplish? Do you feel like it was like that when you were running? When you were VP at Randstad back in the day, I mean, obviously very different cultures.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But like, I'm interested to know how you've seen the leadership, the C-suite or the senior leadership level of organizations evolve in your career.
Yeah. I mean, the leaders I've worked with, I don't know how much it's changed other than it's got more complicated, honestly. Like, I mean, it's still leaders, it's leadership by definition is getting things done through people.
Right.
So I just feel like, I use that phrase, simplify, don't complexify. I just feel like leaders sometimes, they get too hung up in the clouds or their ideas, or they're just not executing enough. And that's why I try to, when I work with these companies, like, okay, you're trying to sell into 5 different sectors. You can't even sell into one effectively. So let's just pick one and go deep, right? As a sales methodology, we all know relationships matter. If relationships take 12 touch points, and I call one client in bucket A once, the next client bucket B, next client bucket C, like, I'm not nurturing anything.
Shotgunning.
It's transactional approach, right? So this is the stuff where I'm like, when I talk to leaders, sometimes they're like, Chris, it seems so simple. I'm like, it can be simple. Like, you're making this more complicated than you need to make it. Yeah. And I do think part of it is, I go back to social media, they see all these influencers and these ideas, and they're like, oh, and they're chasing the next squirrel. I'm like, guys, stop.
Right.
Stop it.
Right.
The fundamentals work for a reason.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not saying we're not going to apply one of those fancy, great ideas, but we have to get the fundamentals right before we apply those things.
For it to work.
For that to work.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What's been the most unexpected part of your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh God. I mean, other than just managing cash flow.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
well, at least you have a math degree.
I do have a math degree, and I can figure that. I have a great accountant as well. But yeah, what's the biggest challenge? I mean, I would say the jump between, I'm very fortunate that I was in this business for 27 years. When I posted on LinkedIn I was going to start my business, I was very lucky that every single client I have to this date, I think I've signed 25 to 30 master agreements in 3 years. Every single one of them have come from a first degree connection or someone who referred me. I haven't had to go through the cold email campaigns and all. I haven't invested $1 yet in Instagram ads or LinkedIn ads. And not to say I'm not against it. I will eventually do that. But there's a book called The Company of One. And because I work for such big companies for so long, I'm like, I want to be a company of one for a while. Like, I don't want a board. I don't want a boss. I don't need this. I don't have to scale to 5 million. I want to get some balance in my life. And I actually want to figure out my business plan and what I'm the best at. Because even my own advice, I just said it. Now that I know my ICP is this, now I'm making shifts in my business to lean into that. And I will start spending more money on Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, YouTube to target that audience. but I had to figure out what is my audience, right? Is it $100 million staffing firm? Is it $1 billion staffing firm? Like I've talked to Vaco as an example. They do $1 billion now. You know, I'm not working with them. I'm just naming them as like a client I would like to work with, right? So I can work with any client, but I'm like, no, the sweet spot for me is 20 to 50 for all the reasons I said earlier.
Yes.
And so I'm almost, I have to catch myself on a weekly basis applying the lessons I teach the leaders I work with.
Oh, I can imagine.
I have to. What is it? There's a phrase: you have to eat your own dog food. I'm going to give you the dog food. I have to eat the dog food I'm giving you.
Right.
So I have to do the same things I'm coaching you to do.
It's really interesting. It's also interesting because you lived it at Sapphire, and then I'm sure
Randstad, Optimum, Medicus. Yeah.
But like the thing that's funny about when you get into the business world is that I think as a grad, thinking you're getting into the business world, you think that it's all figured out. And when you realize that it's just a series of adults making adjustments constantly.
Correct. Kids playing business, we used to say.
It's kids playing business. And so like when you're running your own business and you hear that and you go, just get started.
Right.
Just get started and then figure it out as you go.
Yep. No, that is the truth. I mean, I'd love to tell you that I had it all figured out. I mean, this kernel had been in my head for so long. So from the day I left Optimum, it was April 7th, 2023.
Okay.
May 19th, 2023, I opened MTA. So 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I called people like Casey Jaycox. I called people like Jason Kuhn, other coaches I had known. Hey, give me the playbook. What'd you do? Get a website, get incorporated, do this, do that, right? But I grew up in sales, so I know I want to have 3 or 4 offerings. I know I want to have a tagline. I know tagline should be 3 to 5 words. Like I have all these ideas. So 6 weeks, I do all of the things and literally walked into work on like a Tuesday. I'm like, all right, I think I'm ready. I typed a LinkedIn post, send, and I had a database, emailed the network, hey, I'm doing this now, send. Yep. And now I'm like, okay, like let's see what happens, right? It's like
now what?
But you just start to figure it out.
Right.
And there is truth to it. Like the phrase in staffing we've heard of, fix the plane in the air.
Yes.
Like, okay, it took me 6 weeks to get the plane in the air. The day I got in the air, I'm like, I will just adjust as I go. Like I will figure things out. And of course, the phone rings on day 3. Mm-hmm. It's a manufacturing company in New Hampshire. It's an old friend of mine. Chris, I just fired my COO. I need to he did not train his leaders at all. I got like 12 people that can't find the bathroom. Can you help me? I'm like, yeah. He goes, when can you start? I'm like, I can start Monday. Like, I'm ready to go. Now, meanwhile, I have no content.
Right.
This is on a Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus. But I'm like, I'm going to come up with a 9-month program for these guys. But all I got to figure out is Monday. I just got to figure out Monday.
Exactly.
And I'll get the skeleton in my head of what the 9 months looks like, but I just have to have the content for Monday. And it worked. It went great. Session 1 was great. It bought me a month to get to session 2. Mm-hmm. It bought me another month to get to, and I just kept building as I went. And that's pretty much how I built my business, is I continuously adapt and adjust based on what my clients need, but also based on my experience. I mean, there's a book called StrengthsFinder.
Oh, yeah.
And I took it once, and I have the ability to recall. It's crazy. Like, I can just recall situations, stories. And so when I see a client in a hole, I'm like, oh, I've seen that hole before. I know how to get out of this hole. Like, I got this, so.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. I got to do the StrengthsFinder. I still haven't done
it's good. Oh, it's great. Yeah. There's StrengthsFinder, and there's also StrengthsFinders for leaders.
Okay.
You'll probably gain the same insights, but it's probably even better for you. But well, and what's great about it is we do these assessment tests. Like I do DISC and Wonderlic and EQ tests, but like sometimes assessments break you down. Which listen, if you want to get better, you got to get broken down and get built back up. But StrengthsFinder helps you lean into the things you're good at. It gives you like extra validation of like, hey, Chris, you're really good at strategic thinking. You're really good at ideation. You're really good at individualization. You're really good at recall. Like, oh, okay, that's my superpower. Got it, right? And so you do start to lean into it more as a leader. And you also learn to hire other people with complementary skills because you know what you're not good at.
That's probably been my biggest lesson in the last 5 years. Was realizing what you suck at.
Yeah. And you have to have the humility.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, successful guy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
you're like, oh.
Right, but you have to take a step back and be like, okay, how do I keep getting better?
Exactly.
That's what the best people do.
Exactly. Yeah. And you got, growing up in sales, details are not a skill.
Most people are not. Business development executives, detail orientation is usually not even on the list.
Not even on the list. No. It's like, oh, I have to actually document
That's why we have account managers and back office.
It's so brutal. Yeah. So you said you always wanted to be a baseball coach.
Yeah.
So would you say that MTA for you is expected or unexpected?
It was unexpected to a degree. Like
okay.
I didn't envision ever running a company doing like executive coaching, leadership training, and sales training. I didn't envision that 15 years ago. But it became very clear to me the day I left Optimum, like, oh, hold on, I'm good at this. I can make money doing this. People are telling me I can do this. Like this is, I remember calling all like 10 or 20 of my best friends from staffing. And I said, what am I the best at? I said, because I don't want to go out and sell something I can't deliver on.
Right.
And they're like, Chris, you're enthusiastic, you're positive, you're a great leader, you understand sales. Like they were telling me like lean into these things.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm the best at. And so, and I can monetize it to a degree. And, it wasn't, like I said, I don't need to make, I'd love to make $1 million, $2 million. I love that. I don't need that.
Right.
I want my clients to be happy. I want to enjoy the work that I do.
Right.
I want to be able to pay my bills. But I'm getting to that point at 3 years where I'm like, I want to be a company of one. I could see by year 4 and 5 really starting to scale. Because once I really master my service offerings, and it's really tight, I will want to scale that.
And we have an industry ripe for that.
Yeah.
Because the margins are thin. We don't.
Right.
I think we generally know our people are our only asset.
Correct.
So like that also tees up well for you too, right? It's
we have to invest in people.
Yeah, and like it's hard. We're in your ICP, and it's
right.
It's a difficult thing to hire a full-time L&D person. It doesn't make sense.
Well, and a lot of the L&D people are very educational, academic. They didn't grow up in the business.
100%.
And so for me, I always say the X factor on a sales call is I have deep experience in adult learning, emotional intelligence, training, but I've been in staffing for 27 years.
But I also did it.
I ran a desk. I built a 28K spread in 1999.
Right.
I built a startup office from 0 to 30 in 2002. I ran a $100 million region. I helped a company get to a $1.4 billion as a senior leader. I can check a lot of boxes where I've been in the room and I've seen it happen. So I'm like, and I even forget, like when I was at New Boston Sapphire Ronside, you forget when you're in it, because this goes back to what I said earlier, you're always trying to go up the mountain.
Right.
I didn't fully appreciate it until I left Ronstadt. And even at MTA, people are like, oh my God, you worked at Ronstadt? And I'm like, yeah, what's the big deal? Like, it's the number one company in the world. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's a bigger deal than I even remembered.
Yeah, right. Because it was just the guys you knew. And the guys.
That was my team. Allison Cohen, John Stewart, Bob Dickey, Les Wetmore, Sean Brady. It's just people I worked with.
So now when you go into these, I think for this podcast was inspired because of nonlinear career paths. Like when I started, when I picked my head up, probably a couple years before COVID, I'd been in the business for like almost 10 years at that point, and I realized that I was talking to mainly engineering, manufacturing, and operations leadership, VPs, directors, etc. And they loved what they did, but some of them went to school for something completely different.
Yep.
And I always had a dad who was an engineer. He was like, what are you going to be when you grow up? Right? So it was like that tugging going on. Yeah. And so I was like, wait, I got to start a podcast about people who love what they do.
Yeah.
Chris Mader.
Yeah.
But didn't exactly know this is what they'd be doing. Yeah. When you now go, like for people listening to this podcast, self-awareness is a massive theme of this podcast because like it's a juxtaposition. Your self-awareness especially about the baseball career or that chapter in your life versus always wanting to prove people wrong. It's like you gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta make a decision on that.
Right.
What are the top 1, 2, 3 things that you go in when you see leadership teams not doing well?
Yeah.
What are they missing?
Oh, wow. That's an awesome question. So number 1 is communication. So they are not being completely honest with each other. And I'll call it productive workplace conflict.
Yeah.
Like how to navigate a conversation with somebody that you don't always see eye to eye with.
Yeah.
So there are natural relationships in the workplace where, Jim, Jack, Jane, you get along great. You can, I can walk in your office tomorrow and be like, hey, dude, we got to talk.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Where it gets iffy is when people don't do that. Right. And they get passive aggressive. Yeah. Or they just don't even say anything. It's not even worth talking about.
Right.
Now you're going down a spiral, right? There's a phrase in life about, when your number one producer or leader stops talking in a meeting, like that's a problem. Okay, that's what I see is like a huge issue.
Okay.
The second thing is the most senior leader saying things like, I want to invest in people, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they don't walk the walk. They have an ego and they don't let go of the wheel.
Yeah.
So it's like the control thing, right? It's usually it's on a disc. It's like the D dominant style leader, like, hey, I want to empower my people. I want them to do this. And then meanwhile, they don't empower their people.
Right.
They micro them.
Yeah.
And they drive them batshit crazy. Mm-hmm. And so I think those are the two biggest things I see is like, is leaders managing their ego, most senior leaders managing their ego.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would be like leadership teams that don't truly collaborate
Yeah.
and truly work together. It's like protect your ass, cover your ass.
Yes.
I'll just do my own thing over
Avoid
here.
conflict.
Oh yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
Right.
And so I've been a part of both, like really good teams and really bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
I've obviously been a coach with really good teams and really bad teams. So I see this play out still on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And not naming names, but I'm like, I get so frustrated with leaders, especially the ones that say, hey, we want you to help. And then I start to get in and do some work, and their team is telling me, like, Chris, my boss isn't doing the work.
Right.
Like, we're all doing it and they're not doing it.
Right.
And then I always say with me, it's always funny. Like, I have a training for managers. It's called The Difference Between Coaching, Mentoring, and Discipline. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mentoring conversation is for a top producer like you and I. If we work together, I put hey, Mark, I believe in you, man. You're doing great. We're going to promote you. Like, it's really positive. Coaching is, hey, dude, I believe in you, but there's one skill you're missing. I want to help you get that and figure that out. Discipline is, hey, dude, we got a major problem and I might have to fire your ass. You don't figure it out, right? Okay. As a coach, as executive coach, I only hit the first two buckets. I mentor and coach. I don't discipline. I don't fire anybody. Like, I don't fire a client.
Right.
But when I go to mentor and coach a client on a let's call it a critical conversation, I walk in and I use a Chris Voss technique. And this is how it goes, right? I say, Mark, I want to talk to you about something today, and it's not going to be fun. And you'll be like, well, what is it? I'm like, I don't know if you want to hear it. And you're like, what is it? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I really don't know if you're ready for this. So I do it 3 times. And they then tell me. They beg for the feedback. So first of all, with someone with a very high ego, you want them to beg for the feedback. If I just come in and start giving you feedback, your ego's already like, dude, who are you? Go screw. Like, I don't know you, right? So you're begging for the feedback. I'm like, hey, man, listen, I've been talking to the team. I've been observing you. Here's the issue I see. And I want to work with you on this. And this is about making successful people more successful. But are you going to be even open and vulnerable to this? And honestly, 50-50. Some of them are like, wow, nobody's ever talked to me like that. That's so helpful. Thank you. I want to change. And others are like, I've had forms of like, Chris, I've gotten to here and I'm afraid to change and I'm not going to change. Or basically, I really don't think I need you anymore. And I don't think I've ever been fired, but what happens is that person doesn't really engage as much anymore. And then what happens is we go through, I train the team.
Right.
And listen, the team's getting great training, they're getting value, but it never really sticks.
No.
Because if the senior leader isn't fully committed to what we're trying to do as a team, it doesn't work.
It's flavor of the month.
You're just throwing your money in the toilet.
It's flavor of the month.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't even, honestly, I don't have many clients like that, maybe 1 or 2 in the past. And it's like, either they ended it or even I end it. I'm like, look, this, we were just not synced up. And hey, I wish you guys all the best. But there's not really a point working us together if you're not willing to, quote unquote, make the adjustment.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't get it. I don't get to see it right now. But hearing you talk about the lack of communication or the senior leader not being committed, I mean, my brain just goes to the locker room.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what it,
Sure.
That's like also the dysfunction of a bad team versus a good team.
Absolutely.
It's like, are the guys getting in and holding each other accountable?
Correct.
Or do they wait for someone else to say it? Or do they avoid it? Or do they just avoid it in general?
And when they're avoiding it, you are on the slide. Like, you are in trouble.
You are.
If you can't, what is it? Good to great, confront the brutal facts.
Yes.
If you can't confront the brutal facts and have an adult conversation,
Yeah.
we're not going to grow.
My favorite line, and my team is going to laugh, but I always say the facts don't care about our feelings. They don't care. And I think I stole that from Ben Shapiro or something, but it's like they don't care.
They don't. But you know what? So let's talk about that for a second, because you're absolutely right. What's interesting, though, is I've done the studies on human behavior.
Okay.
I interviewed a PhD for my book on human behavior, behavioral psychology. 90%, studies prove this out, 90% of human beings make decisions based on emotion, not fact.
Yes.
And you know this in sales.
Yes.
People buy based on how you make them feel, not always the logic, right? So I'll say in staffing, like, say you have 3 amazing service offerings and you do the feature dump. Clients don't care.
Don't care.
They don't care. Like, yeah, you got to put it on the website. It's part of the pitch, but like, they don't care about that. It's, can you solve my problem? How do you make me feel?
It's why Tommy Boy is a great sales movie.
It actually is.
It's why it's a good sales movie.
It is true. What is it? I could put a guarantee and shit in the box.
Yeah.
Or, yeah,
It's like,
it's so
like,
true.
okay, I'll buy from you.
Exactly. No, but it's true. So to your point, feelings don't care, but people make decisions all the time on feelings. So like, as a leader, you have to be in tune with that.
It's
and
a very difficult part of the job.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part of the job.
Yeah.
Because what got you to being a leader is your ability to see the ball clearly.
Right.
But now you're leading a group of people that aren't always seeing the ball clearly, and neither are you. Neither are you either, right? Like you got to have a come to Jesus once in a while.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So, MTA Consultancy, how can people find you?
The website is mtaconsultancy.com. And of course, I went to LegalZoom and also got maketheadjustment.com.
Oh,
So
excellent.
You can find me there. So yeah, but all my handles are MTA Consultancy on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, etc.
I love I love letting you share your story about your background because it's so interesting.
Thanks, man.
And I love riffing on leadership topics with you. So this has been a blast. Any final words of advice for emerging leaders or people going through career changes out there?
Yeah, well, I think there's two things. I think the advice is make the adjustment is about continuously improving and adapting and having the courage to change, right? So I think that's a big thing. And the second thing is trust your gut. Like, people that are out there aspiring to do great things, you have to listen to the tuning fork in your body. I mean, instincts are there for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's a client situation, your career situation, like you have to really listen and lean into that. I mean, I wrote my book basically on making that change in my career. 30 years in staffing. The most comfortable thing I could do is keep working in staffing, which, by the way, is a great industry. I love it.
Yeah, right.
But I'm like, you know what, Chris? Have the courage. Like, if you really believe in yourself, then prove it.
Yeah.
Go eat your own dog food.
Right.
Take the jump, with no net. You're on the trapeze, right? Okay. You're walking the trapeze for 30 years. You're good at your job. You're competent. People believe in you. That's great. Okay, now take the net away.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I got to take that first step. And you just have to keep having the courage to keep moving forward and whatever you're chasing.
I think trust your gut is advice that people don't share enough.
Yeah.
Because it is innate. And I remember really early on in my business, I went to a management webinar. It wasn't a webinar, it was in person back then. But whatever, it was a management kind of thing. Yeah. And the CEO speaking was like, I always trust my gut. And my gut's been wrong. And sure enough, my gut adjusts.
Yeah.
Like you in tune, you like internalize that was a bad decision.
Yeah.
And you deal with it. And it was like the same advice for managing other people. It's like, well, trust your gut. If that guy's not going to break his neck, let him break his leg.
Right.
Because he's got to learn to have a gut.
Correct.
And I was like, that makes so much sense. So I love that you ended with that because I do think it's simple, which is kind of very much about what we talked about to the podcast. Yep. When you asked me what my favorite quote was, I almost wanted to be like, well, right now I keep thinking, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Because that's been going through my brain. But thanks again for coming on.
Of course.
Sharing your wisdom. And we'll see you on the golf course, brother.
Absolutely. I'm happy for you and all your success. Thanks for having me in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Buddy. Thank you.